Hey, this is Jimmy Lamb with Sawgrass.
Stacy Marshall with Printwear Magazine.
Matt Vassallo with the RhinestoneWorld.com.
You are listening to the
Two Regular Guys
podcast,
hosted by
Terry Combs
and Aaron Montgomery.
The only two guys I know that have a personal bail bondsman on retainer.
All right. Well, welcome to the show. It's Friday, March 30th, 2018. I'm Terry Combs with Equipment Zone, and you can also find me at terrycombs.com.
And my name's Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me at aaronmontgomery.info. Today, Tom Rauen is going to be joining us. He's with Envision Screen Print and Embroidery in Dubuque, Iowa. And we're going to talk about his screen printing and embroidery business, the concepts of event marketing, and maybe chat about the world record that Tom holds. So that's going to be fun. Plus, bonus for everybody, we're going to grab Marshall Atkinson a little bit later on in the show, and he's going to talk about his newly released book, Pricing for Profit.
Well, that'll be great. And yet another Jimmy Lamb intro that I don't recall ever hearing. But, some news items, Aaron. The American Red Cross recognized RICO for its donations to the organization. And the foundation designates RICO as a Ready 365 Giving Circle Gold level member for its contributions. So we certainly want to recognize the folks over at RICO and everyone who's out there contributing to their communities and going above and beyond, selling products. So kudos to the folks over at RICO. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great thing. And we'll get the link to that article. I think it was in Printwear Magazine that we tracked that one down in. Another from A&E Magazine, a bit of news that we saw this week that I thought was of note. Cole Desi and Belkett unveil a plan to combine companies. The organizations say the agreement comes after a long history of collaborating on joint projects. So we'll be interested to see how that goes and bringing two companies together there.
Yeah, they. I know that they're both in Tampa, and I remember our buddy Don Copeland at Coldesi saying that he goes to church with the guys from Belkett. So it'll be interesting, though, because I'm guessing it's going to be a lot on the embroidery end. I know that Coldesi stopped exhibiting at trade shows. What was it now, Aaron? A couple of years ago, I think. And
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and same with Belkett. We haven't seen them around for a little while either. So it'll be interesting to see what transpires here with combining. And I don't know what that means exactly. Combining companies has one bought out the other? Are they are they merging? But
yeah. We'll have to track down somebody from over there, maybe Scott Coleman or Jared Hill or somebody like that, and get them on the show and see if they can give us a little more dirt, a little more scoop.
Scott is a pretty cool guy. If anybody doesn't know Scott Coleman, but I ran into him about 5 years ago in Germany, and I was over there for FESPA, and he told me that he had rented a Harley Davidson and he was just kind of cruising around Europe and outside of attending the show. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. Awesome. All right. Well, good morning. We have some folks joining us on the live stream. So good morning there. Glad to have you. I do want to make sure everybody stays tuned all the way to the end of the show. We're going to have Marshall Atkinson joining us, like I mentioned, and he's going to be presenting 5 things this week. So excited to hear what he's got to share with us there, and going to be some good stuff, Terry.
Absolutely. We certainly appreciate everybody listening in to the Two Regular Guys, the most listened to podcast on decorating in the world. We've been doing this show since February 2013, which is hard to believe, our 6th season. And we would love to have you visit our webpage. It's the number 2regularguys.com. Check out the show notes. Anytime we talk about any links or any companies or things like that, we always have all those links up on our website. And if you'd like to reach out to any of our guests, also we're always looking for suggestions for shows. You can make suggestions or give us ideas at our Contact Us page, or through any social media outlets. We're everywhere at the number 2 Regular Guys. And if you're catching the video via Facebook Live, we would love to have your comments, insights, questions, and anything you'd like to add to the show today. But before we dive in, Aaron, let's recognize our sponsor, our title sponsor for 2018. That is the Specialty Graphic Imaging Association, SGIA.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got their website posted up there. If you go over to sga.org/garments, and you can learn more about what they've got going on, all sorts of great events and projects. We had Johnny on last week telling us about some upcoming stuff there. So please make sure you head over to their website, again, sga.org/garment, and tell them you heard about them from the 2 Regular Guys, and get involved, get active with them, and get a membership. It's really quite affordable. When especially for the schools and stuff like that, the $25 for a school, that's incredible.
Oh, exactly. So, and all the students, if one of the teachers is a $25 member, all the students in their classes get free memberships while they're students. So take advantage of that. And as you mentioned, Aaron, we had Johnny Shell on with us last week, who is the vice president for technical services, and talking to us about all the things they're doing education wise, scholarships they're giving out, and bringing people into the industry. But so Aaron, today we're having Tom Rauen with Envision Screen Printing and Embroidery from Dubuque, Iowa. He's going to be joining us in just a minute here. But first, Aaron, let's hear the conversation we had with Tom at ThreadX Casino Night. And we left it out of our regular podcast because once we talked to Tom, we said, "Hey, you know what? We need to have a whole show together." So let's hear the brief interview we did with Tom at ThreadX.
All right.
Well, we have Tom Rauen with
Envision.
I knew that. And Tom is a U.S. Screen grad from what year?
2006.
Wasn't that long ago. And how many times have you expanded since then?
3 or 4 times, I think. Yeah. Keep growing.
All right. Well, not that Terry and I ever spend a whole lot of time in bars, but occasionally you can find us in a bar, and we happened to run into you a little bit earlier. And I don't want you to give up the whole story because we would like to have you on the show, but just tell us, okay, you left U.S. Screen. Did you have any jobs to get to as soon as you got home?
As soon as I got home, the first day after I learned how to screen print T-shirts, there was a job waiting for me that was 600 T-shirts, 1 color left chest, 3 color back.
All right. We'll leave it there because we want to, when we have some more time to spend with Tom, we want to unpack.
You can all guess how long it took and how many shirts I screwed up.
It was perfect in every way, and he made a ton of money and was sold from there forward. That's I do want to unpack that because that's a really, like Terry said, pretty much everybody's been there. I mean, that's the origin story of pretty much everybody. So,
but Tom, you've had tremendous success over a fairly short period of time. What do you attribute that success to?
Learning the hard way on a lot of things, but then learning from those mistakes, taking action to move forward, and then also just the furthering the education, meeting other people in the industry that have been there before me. So I learned the hard way the first couple of years. Then I got smart, met other people. I learned from their mistakes so I could apply those before I made the mistakes on my own. And then coming to events like this, the other trade shows, getting that education and learning from others around me and surrounding myself by other people in the industry to make myself better and be able to grow and take action rather than just sit there in the sidelines and make mistakes and then learn and grow slowly.
Yeah.
So that's been the key to going fast.
Nice.
We didn't mention where your business is, and tell us a little bit about also who your customer base is.
So we're in Dubuque, Iowa, and our customer base is pretty wide, but I would say our main customer base is high schools, colleges, sports teams, organizations, and then from there, corporate, local banks, insurance companies, the whole 9 yards.
Anybody that wants a shirt.
Well, you've grown just a little bit from that original, 6-color manual press?
Yeah, 6-color manual in 2006, and now we're up to 6 automatics, 3 manuals, and about 70 heads of embroidery, and a sight laser bridge. So been growing a little bit, and we got a little bit more growth ahead of us.
So, Tom, I want to talk to you real quick about ThreadX before we let you get out of here. And like I said, we're going to make you come back on the show and spend a full show with us. So there's no getting out of that. But but for ThreadX, I want to hear your take. What was the biggest thing that you took away from today's event so far?
The energy in the room. There's so many different people in the room from various parts of the screen printing industry. And the knowledge from all the speakers was absolutely electric. And to be able to take that in and then take different perspectives and apply it to your own business and how that correlates with what you're currently doing and where you want to go and where you want to take your business was a little mind-boggling at times. It was almost overwhelming. It was like, wow, this is cool. So some really great insight. And then the relationships, the people we met at breakfast and at lunch, and right now, those are some relationships I've built, and I've met some people that are definitely going to push my business forward. Awesome. And I hope I can contribute some stuff to help push their businesses forward as well. So the collaboration between screen printers and the industry at this event is absolutely amazing.
All right. Well, welcome back to the live show. And Tom is a serial entrepreneur with a passion for entrepreneurship, community, marketing, and innovation. Tom is the founder and CEO of Envision Custom Screen Printing and Embroidery, one of the nation's leading custom apparel manufacturers, a business he started in his parents' basement after graduating from University of Dubuque. And he is also co-founder, and Aaron, you're probably going to get a little misty about this too. He's a co-founder of Dimensional Brewing Company, a craft brewery and tap room in Dubuque, Iowa. Hey, Tom, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys.
Thanks for joining us, Tom. We just took a moment there to listen to the interview we had at ThreadX. So let's start off with closing that story. I kind of rudely cut you off and didn't let you finish, and so we want you to finish that story. Tell us about the first few weeks after getting back from screen printing class and kind of the early years of your company.
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, like a lot of printers starting off, I went and I took the 3-day class and learned as much as I could. And then I get home, I've got this huge order waiting for me, and I'm printing the shirts, and I'm printing like around the clock. And I realize, once we get them done and we're folding them and everything, about half of them were off-centered or crooked. Apparently I didn't know how to load shirts straight. And the other issue that we had was somewhere in the training, I did not learn about print flash print. So all of the white ink on all of these shirts was pretty light. So we really had to redo the entire order, figured out how to load shirts straight, figured out the print flash print part of it to get white ink nice and bright. And really the first couple of years was just a lot of the same stuff, learning through trial and error, screwing up a lot of stuff, a lot of long hours. I remember, waking up and I would start printing at, 8 or 9 a.m. and I'd be printing till 2 or 3 in the morning or whenever I got tired. And if there was deadlines, I would pull all-nighters, and it seemed like it was 7 days a week, just nonstop. And I know a lot of other people were in the same situation starting. So it's just crazy, like, to think back. I definitely know how to work smarter now than harder. I didn't know what contract printing was. If I did when I started, I probably would have, it would have been smarter for me on this like 600-piece order to just contract out and let the professionals at the time handle it.
You mean a guy with an automatic who could have printed that in an hour?
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at it now. I'm thinking, oh my God, it took me an entire week to print this order. And right now, we can do that on an auto in an hour, and it's just crazy. So it's the lessons you learn.
Yeah. Terry, you got to add that to your screen printing class. It sounds like the contractor section.
Exactly. Well, and I often say here on the show that that being an entrepreneur gives you the freedom to work all the hours there are in the day. Well, hey, Tom, I certainly follow you on Facebook, and I know you've got a lot of followers out there. And I remember not so long ago reading about a world record that you hold. So share that with our listeners.
Yeah. So it was 2011. The date was 11/11/11. And I've always wanted, since I was a kid, wanted to break a world record. So I researched the world records, and I saw this one with T-shirts, which was wearing the most T-shirts at one time. And the previous record was 245 T-shirts. So I trained for it. We did practice runs up to about 150. I knew going in, I watched videos of guys doing it on late night television shows and on YouTube of people trying and attempting this record and failing at it. And so I knew some of the challenges that would come along with it. And, during it, I almost died. And it was really crazy because some of the challenges that come with it, once the amount of pressure on your shoulders and your arms, you lose circulation in your hands and your arms after about 175, 180 T-shirts. And so I knew that going in, and the previous record holder, it took him about 3.5 hours to do. And so our whole key was speed. So I wanted to be able to do it fast enough before my body realized what was going on. And then we had planned for about 300 shirts. But by the time we got to, 225, 230, the shirts were already up over my mouth and getting above my nose. So I had issues breathing at that point. So the team knew that I was really struggling and, really had to do all we could just to break the record. So we ended up breaking the record just by 2 shirts with 247 shirts. And it was like one of the toughest things I've ever done in my life. I have people call and ask me about it, that they want to attempt to break it. My advice to them is good luck. But if I knew how hard it would be, I would never put my life in that situation again. It was really hard. And it took me into some weird places mentally.
I bet. Wow.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
So,
I just popped a picture of it up for those folks watching the video.
I've got the shirt here. I can grab it quick.
Oh yeah, please do. I'll pop that shirt back up real quick, and there we go.
This is the final shirt. It's a 20XL.
I was just going to ask what size you got up to.
Wow, look at that.
Well,
look at that.
I keep it in my office, and reminds me, hitting
Awesome.
that goal and that.
Yeah.
Well, I have to ask, how was getting it all off again? I mean, did it take a really long time, or did it all come off as one big giant shell?
So they took the first couple off the top, and then there was paramedics there, and they started cutting them, and a couple of the big security guards we did the event at a casino, and a couple of the security guards came over and literally just started ripping them off, about 5 shirts at a time.
Wow.
And they got them all off in about 10 minutes.
Wow.
And the one security guard I talked to the next day, and he said his chest was sore from ripping off. So most of them got shredded, but their concern at that point was my safety and getting that weight and pressure off my chest as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's
incredible.
Awesome. Wow.
Okay, so I'll cross that off the bucket list, that not breaking that world record.
Oh my. All right, Tom. Well, let's move on to kind of a little more present stuff here. We're obviously recording this on Facebook Live, so let's talk a little bit about Facebook. Talk to us about the Screen Print Marketing Facebook group and what you guys got going on over there, and kind of how you got that started and why, and any milestones happening.
Yeah, so I started Screen Print Marketing Facebook group probably about 3 years ago. And really, I just wanted to share with others in the industry what I'm doing here at Envision and how we're growing our business with different marketing stuff. So whether it's sending out postcards or posting different sales or flyers on Facebook or emailing stuff out. And, I knew that the more I would share that with others, they would share with, with me and with the rest of the community, different things they're doing in their area, and we can all, apply those things, and everyone grows together. And as an industry, the better we can like grow together, the better our industry, is for, providing custom t-shirts for businesses or schools or whatever it is. So I started, and it's been a lot of fun. The last year, it's really taken off, and we've been getting just a lot of interaction, a lot of people sharing great content and just really valuable stuff that's really helped my business. And I know it's helped a lot of others out there. And right now, we just passed 4,000 members, which is pretty cool.
Wow, that's
so
awesome.
There's members from all over the world. Over 100 countries are in this group. So we're getting stuff from Europe and all over the United States and all over the place. So it's pretty cool.
Well, so Tom, who are the members of the group, and what kind of things are they sharing with the rest of the group? So
members, I go into the group. The members are all screen printers, so it's screen print marketing. So it's screen printers from all over the place, and they're sharing, the flyers they're doing, what they're a sale or something they're doing in their area. And then other members are trying that same approach out, or how they're going to do a web store or help promote that web stores when they're going to a live event. So, some people are trying to figure out, all right, can we do a print on demand thing at a live event, a festival, or something like that? And some other guy will chime in and say, hey, here's what we've done, and here's our setup at that event. So it's cool seeing that collaboration and that sharing among all the members.
Tom, even just 12 years ago, when you were getting started, we didn't have these kind of opportunities we're kind of all out there on our own. So this has got to be a tremendous help especially to folks who are just getting involved in the industry.
Yes, definitely. And, some people always ask me, like, why are you sharing these, secrets with your competition? And I'm like, they're not my competition. Like, there's enough for everybody. Yeah. And like, if you look at your main customer base, it's, it's probably like that 30-mile radius around you. So whatever we're doing here, I hope that I can share that with someone that can apply that in Texas or California or Seattle, and the same vice versa. Like, there's enough out there for everyone that I think when we share and we collaborate, it just makes us all better.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tom, so in Palm Springs there at ThreadX, we talked a little bit about some event marketing stuff, and I know that's a big area for you. So while we're kind of on the marketing subject, kind of give us some of the things that you're doing, and what events you got coming up there too.
Yeah, so we've got a couple. The one big one that we did this past year, we call it the big showcase, and what we do is bring in our vendors. So we have SNS and Sanmar and some promotional product companies, and we set it up in a banquet room and invite all of our top clients, all of our top prospects, and they come and they're able to see and feel and try on the apparel. They see all the new stuff that's coming out for the next year, and they really see the wide scope of everything that we can provide for them. So that type of event, it just creates that awesome customer connection, and just a really neat event to bring the customer in and build a better relationship with them. So that's one that we love. Another one that we've got coming up is Mac and Cheese Fest, and this is a charity thing that we started last year, and 100% of the proceeds go to charity. Last year we were able to raise $43,000 for the foundation that we started for our family. And what that is basically like if you've been to a food or a beer festival, we've got 25 breweries and 25 restaurants. The restaurants are cooking mac and cheese, all different sorts, and the breweries are serving up their beer. And that kind of like incorporates everything together. So as part of their admission, we give a swag bag. So the swag bag promotes Envision and all the stuff we do here. We're able to build that connection with 25 restaurants and 25 breweries. They're vendors and donating, this for the charity, but we're able to create that connection with our business, and our business is tied to the charity. And then, we're able to supply those vendors with, their uniforms, their shirts that they're selling in retail and stuff like that. So it's kind of just a neat event that's awesome that we can do for charity, but then also a marketing thing for our business.
Absolutely. And right up our alley there, Terry. Those are two of my favorite things, beer and mac and cheese. And,
I know. And you're thinking, oh my God.
Yeah. When is that again? And I need to put that on my calendar.
May 3rd. Mark your calendar.
All right. Coming to Iowa May 3rd, one of these May 3rds.
Anybody doing any lobster mac and cheese there?
Yes. Lobster mac and cheese, bacon mac. Someone last year did an apple pie mac and cheese, which was totally out of this world, but it was amazing.
Really? Wow. You wouldn't think that was good, but I'll try it.
Well, Tom, along those lines, Aaron and I have been known from time to time to have a couple of beers. So tell us a little bit about your Dimensional Brewing Company.
Yeah. So there's a group of guys in Dubuque, and we're, looking at doing a brewery. Kind of always had this idea, and we got the right group together. And I was the missing piece of the puzzle as far as the marketing and merchandising and stuff like that. So I joined on with this group, and I'm super excited for it because we do a lot of work for different breweries and bars and restaurants. And this will give me the inside perspective of how to market effectively to their clientele. So then I can take our stuff, I can test different things. So whether we're doing hats or bottle openers or keychains or T-shirts, and we can, test out the merchandise in the retail area in our own brewery, and then use those results to share them with other breweries and stuff. And that will help build, Envision's clientele, those customers.
Awesome. So, Tom, we've got a couple of questions in the chat here. And if anybody's got any other questions, I'll pop them up there and we'll see if we can get some answers for you. But RM Steiner asked, how do you find the 20,000 piece plus orders?
So I get asked that a lot. So I think the big myth in the industry is people will post, I got this 10,000 piece order, I got the 15, 20,000 piece order. They're not all that glamorous. It sounds great to do one, but it takes a lot of work. At that volume, the margin is very thin. Mm-hmm. So you really have to be efficient. And if you don't have the capacity for it, and you don't have the right setup for that volume, most likely you're not going to make any money on it, and it's going to strain your business, it's going to strain your production, it's going to hurt those other orders that are maybe getting pushed back because of it. So I know, like, when I was starting out and I had one manual press, one automatic, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to get this like huge 5,000, 10,000. We did 40,000 piece order on a Diamondback automatic, and we ran it around the clock nonstop for it was like 10 days in a row. And we had 3 shifts going around the clock. I was pulling in friends and family and everyone. And we had T-shirt. This was in our first facility, which was like the production area was like 1,000 square feet. So we had shirts stacked to the ceiling going out the back door. We couldn't get them to do the front and the back. We couldn't get them from off the dryer and then back around to the press without taking them out the back door, around the front of the building, and then back in. It was just like a complete mess.
Summertime.
Yeah, so those orders can happen. And, you reach out, you look for bid list. You can Google, request for proposals, whether it's from big colleges. We do stuff for Major League Baseball teams and things like that. But no, at that point, at 20,000 shirts, a penny adds up to a lot. 5 cents adds up to a lot. There's a lot of logistics with the shipping, just everything that goes in there. There's so much. So it's not as glamorous as it looks or as it sounds. And you really have to be dialed in to do that and to be doing them profitably.
So it's nice to talk about, but interestingly enough, it's something that I talk about when I talk to new printers as well. Is when I was running production in Kansas City, we were doing a lot of production, and we had 75 production floor employees, but our average run was 72 pieces. And I remember getting one of those 10,000 piece orders, and my staff, they were falling over themselves. It's just like they couldn't comprehend how to move it through the production area. So it's I think it's good to stay within your niche. If you're the 10,000 piece production person, you probably should stay with those orders.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love doing smaller orders because they're so much more profitable, and
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
in and out. You have much less risk of a mistake. There's just so many other moving parts on the big ones that those small, 48, 72, 144. That's just like rock and roll.
Nice. Well, we got a couple other great questions here, Tom, if you don't mind picking a few of these off for us. So Val asked, when did Tom know to add equipment when his business was growing? Did you take out a loan or was it self-financed?
Been doing this for 12 years. The first probably 6 or 7 years was all self-financed. So I knew, like, starting off the first 5 years, any revenue we made, we would put back into the business and invest in equipment to help us work more efficiently, invest in technology, and then also make sure we had enough capital to invest in employees. So, I was taking a very minimal, the first 3 years, I didn't take any pay at all myself. I was bartending on the weekends and, basically using that bartending money to cover living expenses. And so the first 3 years really bootstrapped and stuck as much money back into the business, adding embroidery machines and, adding whatever technology. My mindset, and it still is, let technology and the equipment, progress you forward and do a lot of the work so you can work smarter and not harder. So we've always done that. And, lately though, as we've been growing, we've been taking out some loans to excel that growth faster. But, definitely, look at the long-term investment of that equipment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Val had a follow-up question, and for some reason they're not popping up on the video portion, but I'm seeing it. When did you know to hire employees? What were you hiring for?
I knew so I looked at, as we started growing, of where the bottlenecks were in the business, or what was taking a lot of time and what was maybe the lowest cost person to hire. So at the beginning, when I was doing graphic design and sales and printing, I knew out of those three positions, the lowest cost person to hire was probably someone to screen print or someone to wash screens. So I kept basically working from the bottom of the lowest cost on up on who to hire. Okay. Now, as now we're, around 45 employees. I look at the same type of bottlenecks of who's getting overwhelmed, who's too busy to keep up, where those kind of slowdowns are. We also have, some part-time work that comes in, friends and family that I pull in on different areas. And, my wife, she'll come in and help out wherever. And when she's coming in and working a ton or, a lot, then I realize, like, oh my God, we need like a full-time person to cover that position. So it's nice when we have the ebbs and flows that, with business, that we can pull in some part-time work to help during really busy times. And then we don't, need that payroll during the slower times.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's funny that you mentioned somebody to wash screens, because I always tell new printers, okay, the first person you're going to hire is someone to clean screens, because no one's ever raised their hand and said, what my favorite part of this job is? Cleaning the screens.
So Tom, you mentioned.
So people ask me this. People, for some reason, like, everyone's number in their head is, they're like, oh, I want to make $100,000 a year. And that equates back to $50 an hour. So I asked them back, I said, all right, is it worth you paying yourself $50 an hour to wash screens? Or can you hire someone for $10 an hour so then you can do the $50 an hour work, which would be getting more sales and growing the business? And so when you put it in that equation, like, you try to remove yourself from the lowest possible cost job that you can do in the business and focus on the higher revenue type jobs.
Nice. Marshall just shared a comment here that I think is worth repeating. Here's a ratio to use. Number of employees times 100,000 should equal total yearly sales. The closer you get to 200,000 per employee, the better. So I think that's a good piece that people can kind of look to for a ratio there. But Tom, while we're talking about employees, anything special happened in your office this morning that maybe you could share with us?
I love doing fun stuff around the holidays, and usually we do some sort of potluck and different things for, you know, different holidays throughout the year. So today I came and I'll show you.
Awesome. Yeah, for those of you on the podcast, we'll describe this for you. So
the Easter Bunny showed up today and brought treats for the whole team here, and then we have some fun with it on Facebook as well. So I like costumes, and thought it'd be fun to bring the Easter Bunny to work today.
Awesome. All right. So the Easter Bunny was at Envision this morning early, delivering goodies, and so check that out. We'll get where your Facebook page and stuff is here from you in just a little bit, Tom. But I've got one other question I wanted to get to here that I think is a good one, and hopefully we can answer it for Jim. Jim asks, what is your answer to a potential client saying, I can get that cheaper somewhere else?
So you should be adding enough value that they don't even ask that question. And that's kind of pre-framing, you know, what your marketing and stuff before they even come to you. So they come in our showroom. We do the experience really well, where they come in our showroom and it looks really nice. We've got granite countertops on our front desk. We've got everything, you know, looks really professional, nice. Where I've been in some shops and you walk in and like, it's like, oh my God, you're going to pay for what you see kind of experiences. It's kind of like when you go to a steakhouse, steak might not be a whole lot different at Applebee's than, you know, your local steakhouse, but you walk in, like, you know, it's Applebee's, you're paying, you know, $10 for a steak versus $40. Yeah. So it's that perception to add that value in there. And that also goes with your knowledge and expertise with the apparel as well. So anytime someone comes in and says, I can get that cheaper somewhere else, my reply is, okay, then why are you here?
Yeah.
And usually they don't have an answer, or they say, because the other place can't get the shirts done. Okay, well, then you're going to, you know, here's what, we can get them done for you, and here's what our price is.
Yeah.
But I can get them cheaper somewhere else. Okay, well, then go and get them done there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they just stand there, they don't know what to say, and they're like, okay. Yeah. So it's always a fun rebuttal, and we rarely get that question anymore. So yeah, you try to add as much value as you can, whether it's with, you know, just amazing artwork, amazing service, you're, you know, lending your expertise and stuff like that, so that the price isn't an issue.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, my dad used to always tell me, was I was helping him in some of his businesses, the best deals he ever had, and the most profitable jobs that he was ever part of were ones where he said no a lot of times first, and they kept insisting on coming back. So
yes.
All right, Tom. Well, let's talk a little bit about where listeners can find you and Envision and see the Easter Bunny photos, etc.
Yeah. So on Facebook, if you go to, just type in Screen Print Marketing, and the Screen Print Marketing group is there. Otherwise, Twitter, Instagram, everything else, my handle is at Tom Rauen 24/7, and also at envisiontees.com.
Awesome. Super. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Tom. We'll get links to all that stuff up on our webpage once we get this show posted, and looking forward to seeing all the cool stuff you got going, and I will definitely be out someday for mac and cheese time. So you can hold me to that. All right, Tom, have a great day.
Very cool. Thanks, guys.
See you. All right, Aaron, let's hear a word from our longtime sponsor, Equipment Zone.
All right, let's do that. Let me get
queued up.
Yeah, get queued up there. All right.
Our show today is sponsored by Equipment Zone. Go to equipmentzone.com for the Epson F2000 direct-to-garment printer.
Equipment Zone is the only Epson reseller who sends a technician to every customer location for training. This is an absolutely free visit to your location. Equipment Zone is also the manufacturer of the #1 pre-treat machine in the industry, the Speed Treater TX. With no compressor and no special tanks, the Speed Treater TX is the easiest and most consistent pre-treat machine available worldwide. Go to equipmentzone.com for the Epson F2000, the Speed Treater TX, and for all your DTG inks and supplies. That's equipmentzone.com. That's equipmentzone.com. You know, Aaron, also at Equipment Zone, little news here is that the new Epson F2100 that everybody's been hearing about for the last few months actually started shipping this week. So anybody who's interested in that faster and machine, that it also has a lot of things that they've added to the 2000 to make it a more efficient machine, and does a lot of the cleaning and things like that automatically. So anyway, those machines, the Epson F2100 has started shipping, and so if you're waiting for one out there, it's on the way.
Awesome. All right, Terry. Well, we've got more for you. This is a jam-packed show here, Terry. So you're ready to move on?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to first thank Marshall Atkinson from Atkinson Consulting for hanging out and waiting through the first 40 minutes of the show. Welcome to the show, Marshall.
Hey, thanks, guys. Sorry, but I don't have a bunny head to put on.
Well, you do have a very nice mic flag there. I like that. So good job.
Hey, just printed it just for you.
Love it. All right, Marshall. So first and foremost, I know that you had the obligatory press releases and so on and so forth about this book that we're going to talk about. But are we the first live event that you're sharing this at?
You're the first. You're number one always.
Nice. All right. Well, then start us off. Tell us about pricing for profit, cost plus value models. Give us an overview.
Yeah. So the basic idea for this is, I talk to a lot of shops, and it seems like there's a lot of confusion about how to build a price list. And the most common method, and you guys know this, is the average of all the shops around me method, right? Which never works. And at the end of the year or 2 years or 3 years, they've done all this work and they can't understand, how come we didn't make any money? And it's because you're not using your own costs. You're not using your own efficiency data and that kind of stuff to drive a pricing list that will ensure profitability. So I wrote this ebook, which you can download here at my website, AtkinsonT-shirt.com. I wrote the ebook to help shops get a better handle on how to construct a price list that makes sense for them. So I talk about two different ways that we can do pricing. One is the traditional cost plus method, which is your cost. So your shirt cost plus the decoration cost, you mark it up. That equals the price, okay? But what we're using in the book is your actual cost. So I have a way that you measure that. I have a way that you look at your production efficiency and put some numbers to that. So you have what I call opportunity costs that you've built into that. You've baked that into the cost. So it's based on your shop setup times. It's based on how you want to construct your business. And then what we're doing is we're using that to build a spreadsheet using formulas that make sense for your market to build a price, okay? And then the other way we do stuff is with what's called the value pricing method, which isn't, a discount. What it is your brand value. So just like Tom was just talking about earlier, where, hey, somebody says, well, I can get that cheaper. And you say, well, good luck with that, right? Your brand value is the extra that you can build to your price because of your stature in your community, the fact that you're a kick-ass artist, the fact that you've got 1 day turnaround time or whatever you do, you can add that brand value to what you do. And that's that extra that goes on top of that. And so I talk about how to add that to your pricing model, and you can easily construct a price list that'll work for your shop.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks, Tom will or Marshall, Tom, Marshall,
whatever my name is.
You need more coffee, Jerry.
No, Marshall. I think a lot of people start with the average because they don't know where to start. So I think the value of something like this that lets you plug in, your information is tremendously valuable. And when you talk about the brand value, it made me go right back to all of our experiences at ThreadX, talking about creating that brand for yourself and the value in that brand. Because a lot of the folks that were speaking there, when you go to their website or you see their products, it's no different than any other screen printer. Nothing special. A lot of one color prints, but their value was in their brand.
Right. So for shops, how much effort are you putting into that? And that effort pays off because you can build your brand value over time and increase the value that you do, that you build for your customers. But that takes work and effort. And so why don't more shops do that? Well, to me, it's because it's work. It's like we don't want to do the work. We want the easy answer. And a lot of times there isn't an easy answer. You have to actually show up and do the work. That's the hard part.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so Tom, I'm sorry.
Marshall.
You're really going to do this.
It says it right here on the microphone. Come on, Terry.
Terry, let me put that up for you. Now you've got the placard.
Yeah, it's right there on the screen now. I apologize. And it's not like you didn't spend 10 hours in my car doing the decorators in cars having cookies. And by the way, your wife's cookies, the last of them I took to the office, the Equipment Zone's office in Tempe, and the guys there made quick work of them. So we certainly appreciated that.
Hey, no problem. I can tell every time you lean back, you show your belly. So I know you.
Thanks.
Nice.
Well, hey, you've got several other titles though that you have of books, and tell us a little bit about the other products you're selling.
Yeah, sure. Great. So my first ebook that I released back in January was Top 10 Workflow Tips. And this is a free ebook that you can download. And what that does is it shows some of the best workflow practices in shops that people do and employ to get more jobs out per day. So if you're a shop that struggles with hitting deadlines, this is the ebook for you. And you can just click and download it, and it's completely free. And then I released another ebook in February called the Shop Basic Info Pack. And what that has is templates that shops can use. So there's 4 main sections to the book. One is a business plan template where I give 2 templates for writing a business plan. And a lot of shops have never done that despite being in business for a while. So there's one that's more of a robust business plan that a lot of people might be familiar with, where you use your P&L and all that stuff. But the one that most shops will use is what's called a lean startup, or the 1-page business plan. You may have heard that. And this is a little easier to construct for most people. And what I have in there, it's a template. So it asks you questions about your business. So this isn't like a business plan when you go to like the Small Business Administration. This is tailored to our industry. So I'm asking questions about how you sell, what you do, what your customers are, that type of stuff for the decorated apparel industry. And at the end of it, you'll come out with a business plan that you can use to focus, your efforts. So, and you might ask, well, I don't need a business plan. We just sell to whoever walks in the door, right? Well, that's kind of like, instead of aiming at a target with a gun, right? Your model is just to wave it around gangster style and hope you hit the bullseye, right? And you might be lucky and you might hit it, right? But why take that chance? Why not just write a business plan and focus your efforts, right? And then there's a section on branding, which of course we just talked about. There's also a template for writing an employee handbook. So if you've never written a handbook, All you got to do is put your logo on it and put your name in some of the blanks. And then now you've got an employee handbook that you can use. But the last section, I think, is the most important for that book, which is a production log that I've been using for decades. And we take that production log that we use daily on our shop floor, and I give a dashboard system where you input the numbers from that production log, and the formulas instantly spit out your percentage uptime, your press speed, how many minutes per screen you have in your setup. And what's interesting is I take that information and we're using it in the new book, Price for Profit, to understand our opportunity costs. Because when we print on our production floor, when we're not printing, that downtime costs us money. So we want to take that into consideration, and that helps us understand and improve for shop efficiency. And so using this production log system helps you kind of get a grip on that. And so a lot of people have downloaded that, and thank you so much for doing that. It's been a really great seller. I appreciate it. The Price for Profit just came out last week, and so far it's been doing great. So thank you so much for allowing me to come on the show and talk about it today. So getting the word out,
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate being the first. And in fact, we've even got a testimonial for you here. Val said, I purchased the business plan ebook. Both templates are great resources. I'm integrating the traditional sample for my company. So
great. That's awesome, Val. You rock.
There we go.
Hey, Marshall, do you find that that some folks will do the lean business plan first to just kind of get their toe in the water to basically I'm gonna take the easy route first just to see if I can put this together and then kind of move on to the longer plan?
Well, I think I don't really know because nobody's told me that. But, I would think that the lean business plan is a good place to start. And if you're thinking about what I'm doing, when you talk to a guy like Tom, that guy has it all figured out. He is 2 or 3 years down the road with his planning. Okay. So my question is, why aren't you, if you're a shop owner, are you just thinking what's going on for the next 2 weeks? How come you're not already thinking about what am I going to be doing in 2020? What am I doing? So a business plan helps you organize your thoughts and gives you that direction because you're going to understand your market, your customers. Who are they? When do they buy? How do they buy? Who's the decision maker? Where do I find them? If I'm doing a marketing plan, do I use Facebook? Or what if they don't use Facebook? What if Instagram's the place to go? And so one of the phrases I use all the time about marketing is you want to hunt where the deer live, right? You don't want to be in the Walmart parking lot with, you want to be out in the woods where the deer actually are. So
nice. Excellent. All right, Marshall, we definitely obviously can spend a great deal of time with you. In fact, we're going to hold you to that and get you back on here because I want to see if we can maybe deep dive into your Price for Profit book and just kind of some of those things in there. So, but in the meantime, where can people go find out and buy the book so they're ready for our future podcast?
Yeah, so you can go to atkinsontshirt.com, which is my website. At the top, there's a menu. It says shop. Hit shop, and right below that is all my ebooks and my coaching plans and that kind of stuff. And I want to tell you, I'm not coming on the show unless Terry can remember my name. So just
Marshall. It's like the Brady Bunch. Marshall.
Well, I can't make any promises on that regard, Marshall, but I will remember your name. Okay.
Thanks.
The guy in the back seat. That's all I know. Hey, Marshall, we did ask you to contribute to the show also by offering 5 things, and so you graciously agreed to do that, and so you're going to tell us 5 things to think about for pricing.
Right. So let's go. So the first one is, I already mentioned it, cost plus versus value. So I want shops to consider, how are they structuring their pricing, right? Is it just with a simple formula, or are they adding a little something extra that's going to give them more revenue and more profit because they're selling on value and they're not chasing that race to the bottom And like Tom mentioned, hey, I can get that job cheaper somewhere else, right? You're not playing that game, right? So you're talking about, and you know what your value is. And one of the things that especially if you do the business plan template, I ask you to understand what is your unfair advantage, right? So that no shop can touch you because you have that. Is that your artist? Is that your craftsmanship? Is the fact that you can print and ship in an hour? What is something that you can do that nobody else can? That's your value, okay? The second thing is to use your own math, okay? You can't legitimately understand your margin if you don't know how much your costs are, if you don't know what that is. What is your cost per impression? What does it take on average to do something in your shop? If you don't know that number like the back of your hand, and by the way, it changes all the time because it's based on how busy we are. It's based on, is it 20 degrees outside and the heat's going crazy? Or is it the size of the order? Is it your labor? You got lots of overtime? Your math changes all the time. So what is that? Do you know it? Most shops don't. And so I'm going to challenge you to know that. The third thing is to measure what you care about. Okay. So, if we care about our setup times, we're measuring that. If we care about what our profit is, we're measuring that. And so when we measure things and we build a spreadsheet and we're looking at data, we're understanding and we've got a really great grasp on things. If you're just a guy or girl that uses their gut feeling, you really don't know what your shop is doing. And that's why at the end of the year, you're not making the money that you need to be making. Okay. The fourth thing is growth takes work. So this stuff doesn't just happen because you want it to. It's not going to happen by osmosis. Thank you for reading my books, but unless you take that and do it with some action, you're not going to achieve the results that you want unless you actually put the work in. That's how it operates, right? So it's kind of like going to the gym, right? You can't just have a gym membership and you lose those pounds because you ate all those cookies, Terry, right? That's not how it works, right? You actually have to go and sweat and do the work. It's the same with anything. So if you want a better pricing, if you want to make more profit, you have to do the work, right? So that growth takes that effort. And the last thing is, here's the challenge. Don't be a commodity. Don't fall into that trap where, hey, how much for this? Well, I can get it cheaper somewhere. Just don't even play that. Know what your pricing is and then stick to your guns. You're worth it. You're worth that money. How come you're playing into that? How come you have to have a sale to get more business, right? Because, if you constantly have sales, you know what you're doing? You're teaching your customers that, if I just wait till next week, I can get those hoodies for half price, right? And so that's a big problem for a lot of people because they don't know how to sell. They don't know what their value is. And they're constantly marking things up really super high and then discounting it to get the sale, which is it's a strategy and that might be working. But what if you didn't have to do that? How can you build your business plan and your marketing plan so you don't have to be a commodity, that you can just be so awesome that people just flock to you to get it, right? How can you be like an iPhone where people stand in line, right? They got a new model. They're standing in line for it, right? And guess what? It used to be $300. Now we're going to sell for $1,000 and people are still standing in line. Okay. That's not a commodity. That is brand value. Okay. So take what other people do in other industries, and I want you to examine your business and focus on how you can make it better.
Yeah.
That's it. 5 things. Cinco.
Nice. There we go. Well, thank you, Marshall, very much. And again, make sure you get over to AtkinsonT-shirt.com and buy his book and tell him you heard about him here. And we will talk to you again soon, Marshall. Oh, I think we just...
Did we lose Marshall?
No.
I see.
I don't know.
There we go. Okay. No, it was...
I don't know what happened.
All right. Well, if we missed any of that, I mentioned get over to AtkinsonT-shirt.com and check out everything Marshall's got going on over there, from his great coaching plans to these awesome ebooks. And we appreciate you coming on the show today, Marshall, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Great. Hey, thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Right. You too.
Right,
Aaron, listening to Marshall talk about his 5 things, it's that person that walks up to you at a trade show and says, well, in my town, people won't pay more than $4 for a t-shirt. It just made me, I'm thinking of that person in front of me, and you just want to shake them, because guess what? There's a guy down the street who's selling that shirt for $8,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. No, I think, getting that book will hopefully change a lot of people's minds about, like I said, I can only sell it for $4. Probably not. Johnny Cupcakes is a great example. Like you said, it's a 1-2 color shirt, and those things sell for $35 a pop.
Exactly right.
Some crazy number like 300 million or something of them sold at $35 a pop. So you do the math.
What I love about Johnny Cupcakes too is when he speaks, it's like, okay, I had this great idea, and I almost lost my business over this one. Right.
All right. Well, Terry, we've got a few things coming up here. Next week is DAX Minnesota, so I wanted to share a couple of things that I've got going on. I know you're going to be there as well, but I'm doing digital marketing, growing your business with social media and email marketing there at DAX on Friday, April 6th, and at the Treasure Island Resort and Casino just outside of Minneapolis at 12:30 p.m. is when that starts. And then you and I will be doing a seminar together, finding new niche markets because you're a digital decorator. And that one starts at 2:20 on that Friday, April 6th. What else do you have going on, Terry?
Well, that same DAC show in Treasure Island, I'm going to be doing equipment supplies for the new screen printer, what you need for success. That's going to be on Friday, April 6th also at 10:20. And then, of course, we'll be together doing our niche seminar. April 12th, I'll be doing a free day-long Epson F2000, F2100 seminar at NBM Sacramento. It's a new location for that show, and looking forward to that. And my complete screen printing business course, April 21st and 22nd, I'll be at Workhorse Products in Phoenix. And then June 9th and 10th, I'll be back in Chicago with Atlas Screen Supply. And of course, I'll be doing those same seminars again in Chicago, Tinley Park, and that's going to be Aaron, Friday, April 27th. So a lot of stuff going on, and I'm going to be hopping on a plane on that same day, Friday, as soon as the seminars are done, so I could go to Cancun for my son's wedding. So
all right,
that'll be exciting, and then I'm flying straight from Cancun to Houston for the ISS show. So
good times. All right. Terry's on the road. I might be sitting here doing this myself for a while, it looks like. All right. Well, Terry, we've come to the close of another show, and I'd really like to thank our guests, Tom and Marshall, and make sure you go and check those guys out. We'll get links to all of their information up in our show notes over at tworegularguys.com, and make sure you pick up a copy of Marshall's book and tell them the Two Regular Guys sent you. And I think you're going to get a lot out of that. And we appreciate Marshall allowing us to be his first live interview out there. So,
all right. We also want to thank our sponsors, the Specialty Graphic Imaging Association, SGIA, and Equipment Zone. We certainly appreciate your support.
Absolutely. And next week's show, we're going to be at DAX, Minnesota. So stay tuned. We're going to have some feedback from the show, news, latest happenings, everything that's going on over there in the Great White North. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do a live show there or not, but we will definitely capture enough content that you'll be hearing from us next weekend on the podcast version. So no Facebook Live next week. But the week after that, though, Terry, you're going to be on the road, and I'm going to be replacing you with one Jimmy Lamb. So
exactly. All right. Well, until then, he's Aaron Montgomery. I'm Terry Combs, and we are the Two Regular Guys.